Okay, good Erev Shabbos. Good evening, everybody. So we're in the middle of the Sefer. We've done the first two parts of Bilvavi, Mishkan, Evneh to build a Mishkan inside of our hearts. And like we explained last week, the importance of building up our personal relationship, our personal connection with HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't start only by understanding Hashem. It starts equally enough with understanding ourselves so that we know for ourselves what that relationship is supposed to be like. And we'll try to do the same method as last week. Hopefully that went well. And we're going to keep everybody on mute. For now, we'll give shir for 25 to 30 minutes. And after that, please, during that time, please feel free to chat any questions for discussion afterwards, or afterwards we can unmute ourselves and have a discussion as well. So I'm going to screen share the next part in English, the next part that we're up to. I'm sorry. Let's see this. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I hope everybody can see this. We're up to the third part of this discussion. So here we go. Im naschil v'nishal b'nei adam. If we were to ask people, if we were to just go around this Zoom meeting, and we would say to each other, Ma nira lei b'hashkaf rishon. At first glance, the first thing that you see, if I were to ask you, if you were starting on your path in Avodas Hashem, what would you start with? What's the first point that it looks to you, that it's worthwhile, to start with it, to connect to Avodas Kono Lefi Matzavata? Look at yourself now. Look at your life now. Look at my life now. What's the one thing that I should focus on to start my relationship with Hashem? Here's what's going to happen. You know what we're going to say? Oh, for me to connect to Hashem, Ha'echad, one person, Yashiv will answer, Nira lo, it appears to them, Sheyesh lo chalishos b'hasmadas haTorah. You know, I really should be setting aside more time for learning Torah. Yeah, that's my weak spot. The Fima Bato, according to their view, Zui Yanakuda Rishona, for me, that's really what I need to start with. I need to start with that. You know, that's really my weak spot, and I got to start with my weak spot. Hasheni, you'll ask a second person. Yashiv, they'll answer. Shalafima Bato Matzava, you know, looking at my life right now, Hanakuda Harafuya Atzlo, what I'm pretty loose with is Lashon Hara. Can't keep my mouth shut. Gossiping, slandering, always these forbidden things are coming out of my mouth. Who margish, they feel, you know, I got to be more careful. My mouth is not functioning properly. Po v'sham, here and there, yaitzimi piv devarim she'ein haroyu mutar, I say things that are not allowed. All right, we look at the next person in the room, and we say, no, what about you? What do you need to start with? Hashmishi Yasha, the third person will say, Shalafima Boto Matzawa, looking at my situation, Hanakud the Sakra Shalom Bayis. I got to work on Shalom Bayis. I'm not getting along with my parents. I'm not getting along with my siblings. I'm not getting along with my in my marriage, with my kids, with my colleagues. I've got no Shalom in my house. I can't get along with anybody. I got to work on that. Zum Nakudosh Yuchayev L'Shanis of Mehira. I got to change this fast. Maybe I'm not patient enough. Maybe I don't make them feel included enough. They don't feel like I'm taking care of them enough. So on and so forth. We'll find various different answers amongst everybody. The imkain. And if this is the case. Everybody's going to need a different answer. Everybody's going to need a different game plan in their avodas Hashem. Ulam, however, ha'emes einena kein b'meduyik. This is not the way it works. I've got something that works for everybody pretty much without exception, he says. Avodas Hashem, to build up our own unique relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, does not mean that every single one of us, as we explained last week, needs a different foundation, a different second story, a different roof. Yes, our mitzvos have to come together in the form of a building, which is what our focus was last week. That Torah mitzvah is not some scattered things to just grab, even though, yeah, we get reward. But to build up ourselves as avodim of Hashem, as servants of Hashem, it needs to be an edifice. This week, what we're learning is that, you know something? The way to build that edifice has the same foundation for everybody. We all start with one thing. And it's wrong to look at ourselves and say, and this is very important because I'm like this, and I'm assuming I'm half normal, so other people are probably like this too. When we think about avodas Hashem, we think about our areas of weakness, and I say, okay, that's what I'm going to focus on. That's my weak spot, and that's what's going to be my focus. Says the Bilvavi, that's incorrect. It's not the way to go. It's not the way to go. There's one thing that each and every one of us should start with from the get-go. The same thing. What is it? What is it? So in order to get there, he's going to keep us hanging a little bit. What's this one thing we all need to start with? He's going to keep us hanging for a moment because the Bilvavi wants to paint a picture for us, to put us in the mind frame, to put us in the proper frame of mind of where he's going with this. Okay? So let's get into the proper mindset. You know, let's pause for a minute. Before we read further, I want to share a concept that some people discuss quite often. And that is this concept of Golgulum, reincarnations. People get into reincarnations, meaning there's a certain amount of Jewish neshamas were put into this world. A person passes away, they go up to Shemayim, they come back down, and there's things that they need to work on. Particular areas of weakness, let's say from their previous life. Okay? It's a concept that's brought out in the Sfarim HaKadoshim, in the holy books, as he's going to say. But does it really matter? What does it mean? Let's say a person lives an incredible life in the 1800s. Their one area of weakness is they stole. They used to steal things. So Hashem sends them back down to the world to fix that. They're alive for 120 years in this world. Why? Because to fix stealing. Does that mean the rest of their life is a waste? Because they already lived the rest of their life? There's a famous Vilna Gaon, the Gra. The Gra says, he actually makes an interesting point. And the Gra says that he touches on this topic. Maybe some people are Golgulum, maybe some of us are, some of us aren't. Okay. Somebody asked the Vilna Gaon, Rebbe Leo Kramer, if I'm a Gilgul, how do I know what I'm supposed to be working on? I've got 613 mitzvahs. How do I know what I'm sent back down to the world for? We're going to touch on this. But what the Vilna Gaon answered him is that and this should be both a challenge and a consolation. It says every single human being has a glaring area of weakness that sometimes is only glaring to them. But there are some things, there's going to be one thing in every person's life, one thing that gets me. That's where I slip. I'm good in this, I'm good in this, I'm good in this. There's always going to be one area in each of our lives that we know for ourselves, this is my work. If there's one area, one glaring weakness, the Vilna Gaon tells this yid, whatever that is for you, you should know that is what you're here to do. That's your avodah. And whether a person's a Gilgul or not a Gilgul, this applies to. If there's one area, which there always will be, one area, one avera, one challenge. Sometimes the challenge is even in a mindset. It's a challenge to not be depressed, a challenge to be happy, a challenge, something. If there's one big challenge in my life that I'm constantly struggling with, it's because that's my avodah in life. That's my primary thing. Does that mean nothing else matters? I don't need to focus. So how do we balance all this out? How do we use this information, first of all? And second of all, how do you balance what we'll call, let's say, a person's mission with the various other responsibilities that we have? So right now, what we have so far today is a lot of information. And let's go over that before we continue. Piece number one is that if you ask any of us here in the Zoom meeting, where should we start in our Avodas Hashem? We're going to get, all of us going to give different answers. You might get one or two that overlap. We're all going to give different answers where to start. The Bilvavi tells us that actually we're all supposed to start from the same place. We don't know what that is yet. But we all have one place where we start. Secondly, what he's going to get into now, before we get to the answer of where to start, is going to get into the proper frame of mind to have in order to understand the answer that he's going to give. And it's going to focus around weaknesses that we have, direct challenges that we have. People are familiar with this concept of a Gilgul, having a particular mission. All right, so let's go. Let's start reading this inside. We'll share the screen. Kol echad ve'echad me'itan. Each and every one of us. Nishlach is sent. Every single one of us is sent. Min ha'olam ha'elyon le'olam hazeh. From an upper world to the lower world. Misha zacha. Some people are sent nishlach l'kam Gan Eden. Some neshamas are sent straight down from Gan Eden. And umisha lai zacha nishlach l'kam Gehenna. You might have some neshamas that are here coming down from Gehenna. And they've got a particular area to work on. Hatzad hashava shebahen, the common denominator of everybody, every single one of us. Shakulanu chazarnu l'kan. Bottom line is, we're all here. We're all made in the image of Hashem. And Hashem puts us all here with the same goal. How do I best serve Hashem? I don't care where I came from right now. It might matter later. But no matter where we came from, we have the same goal, to serve Hashem. What was the cause of us being put back, of being brought into the world? Why did we come here? There are some people who are familiar with the holy books, the Sfarim HaKadoshim, and they've read about these Golgulum. People are sent back to fix up at least one Avera. You're going to have one thing that's going to be our main test, our main challenge. V'zehu ikar tikunu b'olam hazeh. And that's what I'm in this world for. Avala emes she'avodas ha'adam. But the truth is that even if a person is put here, let's say there is a particular mission, that's not where we start. You cannot build a foundation of mitzvos thinking that it's about fixing up a sin. My avodas Hashem cannot start with my weakness. That is not possible. But that's what we do. That's what we do. The avodas Hashem starts much before that. Tikun shayach. How can you fix something? If I have a house that's already built, and now something breaks. For example, kikir, the wall, the door. Okay, if you have a full house that's built and the door breaks, you can fix the door. Ain't azay tzarach kilkul zeh. Take good. Now you got to ulam and main bias. If you don't have a house in the first place, ain't klal tzarach l'sakin. There's nothing to fix up. Tchila, first and foremost, tzarach bias v'achar kach tzarach l'saknai. First, you need a house, and then you can fix it up. Says the Bilvavi, we're not doing this right. Too many of us, when we think about how to serve Hashem, the first place that our mind goes to is the broken door. And I think to myself, oh, you know where I need to start my avodas Hashem? My mouth, my lashon hara. Got to work on that. If I could work on my lashon hara, that's gewaldig. If I could work on my shalom bias, if I could work on my desires, if I can work on treating people nicer, anything, more meaning and bringing meaning and inspiration into my life. I'm weak in that area. That's like trying to fix a door when you don't have a house. You know that joke they say about there's a bunch of people going out to the desert. They're allowed to take one thing. One guy takes an electric fan. Somebody else takes a canteen full of water. Third guy brings a car door. He's schlepping a car door. So their tour guide says, the guy with the fan and the canteen, I understand. We're going to the desert. What's with the car door? The guy said, if it gets hot, I'll roll down the window. You don't have a car. You don't need to roll down a window. What are you doing with a car door when you don't have a car? The Bilvavi is telling us when we think about our personal avodas Hashem, it can't start with just a car door. If there's no car, what do you have a car door for? You can't start with a broken thing that I'm broke. You can't start with a weakness, an area in Tendler's life that's lacking. I can't start with that. You know why? Because where's my building that has there's a broken piece. Okay. But you need a building for this broken piece to even matter. We need to find still, therefore, says the Bilvavi, we need to find that edifice. That edifice needs to be built. And step one of it, we don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. But what we need to get out of our psyche, what we need to get out of our minds when thinking about building relationships with Hashem, it does not start by fixing something that's broken. Because then I still have nothing. I have no edifice. And this is the potential pitfall that we have. Says the Bilvavi, next paragraph. Kain hadavar ba'avodas ha'adam ba'olam hazeh as kainei. The same thing holds true with the building, the same example with the building of broken doors. The same thing holds true with our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The same thing holds true. Even if we need to fix a particular sin, a particular avera. That doesn't mean that's my entire purpose in this world. Even if I'm supposed to be working on something, that's my entire purpose. And then and then I'm done. Not possible. It's not possible that everything else is wasted because of this one area of weakness, this one area of work that I need to focus on. Ella rather, Kol Adam Nitzrach Tchila Livnai said Satzma. You know what we need to do first? We need to build ourselves. Livnais Benavshay Binyan Amitish Avodas Hashem, to first build an edifice of Avodas Hashem, of being connected to Hashem. Ula Achar Sheyesh Lo Ben Amiti. Once I have a true edifice, once I'm somebody who's positively and in a healthy way connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Azai Ikra Vedas. Okay, now that you're connected, I have an edifice, I have a building. All right, now I'll go fix my doorway. The same way every home is a ganav. Yeah, every home steals, right? You buy your home, oh look, I'm going to build equity, and I can build the next thing you know, there's a leak, there's a roof, there's a da. And all of a sudden the house starts eating up with its expenses. Ikra Vedas is like, okay, but at least you have a house. At least you have a house. Ulam tchilat tzarech bin amit benefesh. We need to be built. Binyan mutzak, a solid building. Shalavaidas Hashem misukenes ubrura, a building that we have clarity in. A building that we know what's happening in that building. What the purpose of that building is. What is the purpose of my edifice? Zosfa'od, this and even more so. Pa'amim sha'adam, there are times where a person fixes up a sin in just a few moments. Beragaim sipurim, v'chikol chayav levatla. I understand something. A person lives 120 years. Why? To work on a midah, to work on avera. Everything else is wasted? That makes sense? Even if a person is a Gilgul, is a reincarnation, Hashem set us down for a particular avera. So now I'm here for 120 years. My Gilgul was honesty. Every time I kept Shabbos, every time I laid tefillin, every time I did chesed, every time I gave tzedakah, every time I smiled at somebody and said good morning and to have them a nice day and was patient and worked on my character trait, that's all gone. It's not valuable. Doesn't mean anything because that wasn't part of why I'm here. Of course not. Life of life, it's not possible. It's not possible. Elabara davar. The matter is clear. There's a beginning and an end to what we're trying to accomplish. This area that I need to work is an addition onto everything else. That's like what's added to the tab for dessert after you already had the appetizer and the main course. It's an opportunity to perfect something. That's what it is. Hashem sent us back down. Why? To give us the opportunity to perfect. But that's not everything. It's not even close to everything. Nimtza and Cain, what we're coming out with as follows. She'ein haprat hayachid hu ikra avedasi b'chol eisa b'chol sha'a ela yeshiba kaleles l'chon avram adu am yadu kain le'lam hazeh. Guess what? There's one area that needs clarification. And there's also one space for every single person as to why we were put in this world. The weakness is not the why. That's the opportunity. It's not the why. First and foremost, Rashis, Tzarech Levar Ma Yasiba. So what is the reason? What's the reason? What's the reason why we all came down to this world? All of us here on Zoom. Why did we come to this world? And once we gain absolute clarity, I'm going to tell you a reason, says the Bilvavi. I'm going to give you a reason why you're here, why we're here. That's going to live with you. This reason is going to live with us at every moment and will guide our lives. V'lakach, and therefore all of the chayis masib azu yam yam. What I'm about to tell you, what we're going to learn about, is a reason that's going to affect us day to day, sha'ah v'sha'ah, moment to moment, l'regam shebechanenu mamish. Something that we can connect with constantly. Kolomar, meaning to say, yediya hasiba in yediya ba'alma. To know the reason that we're going to talk about is not like, oh, I'll give you a reason for something. Al yediya shakol tzur zachayim zrich aliyas to emes liyediya zu. What we're going to learn about in this sefer is something that's I think there's an expression nowadays to be twinning with somebody, to twin with them, to be completely connected. This information is something that each and every one of us are going to be able to completely connect our lives to. And therefore, b'kol rega mamish, literally at every moment, tzarich lahatim es machshavos, it'll help mold our thoughts, hargashas, our feelings, v'hamaisim, and our actions, shall rega zelasiba. Everything's going to all of a sudden be connected to this reason. When a person learns, understands the reason, Yavin will understand Shegam Tikunai Prati, even his individual purpose. Shayach Lesiba Hakelelas, even though I have an individual goal, that's also part of a general Siba of everybody. And my personal goal as well is as well going to be connected to this generalization. What have we seen here? What have we said in the second part? So, to summarize, in Gimel, in the third section, we focused on the mistake that many of us make in what does it mean to serve Hashem. And that mistake, he says, is we focus on the broken door before we even have a house. If you don't have a house, you got a broken door for. That's the mistake. That was his focus in piece number 3. Piece number 4, he's starting to create a frame of mind that we need to put ourselves into. And that is, yes, every single person will have at least one particular area that I know personally, this is going to be my avodah in life. I'm going to have to pull through this, whether it's this emotion, whether it's this midah, whether it's this mitzvah, this commandment, this way that I conduct myself. And that shouldn't be pushed to the side. It's true. That is part of something, but that's the broken door. So you can't start with a broken door. You can't. If somebody asks me, how should Tendler be an Eved Hashem? If somebody asks you, we can't start with our weakness. We have to start with a particular nakuda. We haven't mentioned what it is yet. We haven't mentioned yet exactly what it is. But there's going to be one area that is going to be able to guide us in how to live daily, hourly, with our feelings, with our emotions, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And obviously, we'll hold it here for tonight. We're at the half hour. But obviously, what he's starting to let us know what the next paragraph is going to be about. And that is the foundation. The foundation. There's going to be a central foundation that even though we each have different weaknesses, but the foundation of being an Eved Hashem, what is a Jew's life guided by? And even more than that, not what are we guided by, but what are we supposed to live with? What are we supposed to live with constantly in our conscience and in our feelings? That's going to lay the foundation for connecting and understanding our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Be'ezras Hashem, we'll hold it here for now because it's shespeit, it's getting late. But Bez Hashem, we will pick up from the 5th paragraph, where he's going to give us an analogy, and hopefully next week, I believe we'll be able to do 5, 6, and 7. Hopefully next week he's going to get more in depth into the practical side of understanding how this emotion should be guided. So we'll hold it here for the sheer part. I don't see any particular chat for now, but if anybody wants to ask any particular questions, let me open the ability to. 1 second. Okay, so there's a hand up. Everybody has the ability to unmute themselves now. There you go. Who's Mark Shervitz? Go ahead.
So first of all, I'm very excited to hear about this reason. Looking forward to hearing that. It's maybe slightly unrelated, but related. Conceptually, I understand why somebody would be sent back from Gehenna to come and work on something. But conceptually, why would somebody leave Gan Eden to come back into this world?
Great question. I'm going to make up an answer. I don't know if what I'm saying is true. I'm making it up. It's going to come from various things that I've heard along the way. But this is not the reason why I'm prefacing this is because I didn't hear it from my Rebbeim, and therefore take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, it's feel free to challenge this. Gan Eden, by definition, and this is going to be very important as we get to the answer. Gan Eden is a way that is a place of a neshama being connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You can have a lot of different neshamas in Gan Eden. A person who's overall a good person, but is not connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom, can go to Gan Eden, but they're not going to be connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom as much as somebody who lived their life connected to the Rebbeinu Shalom in this world. So you can have people in Gan Eden, neshamas in Gan Eden, that know that there's more, and they sold themselves short. Yeah, I'm here, but it's not the same Gan Eden for everybody. So you can have a neshama in Gan Eden where it's in their best interest to go and climb even higher. Which, by the way, leads to another fascinating thought process, which is how important it is to do things as a merit for those who have passed on. If I become closer to Hashem because of somebody who has passed on, and I become a better Jew, and I work on my midas because I've learned values from that person, I give tzedakah in their memory, whatever it is, I've learned Torah and I'm connecting to Hashem, and so on and so forth. HaKadosh Baruch Hu somehow, this is a chesed beyond belief, allows the connection that I'm making here to work for that neshama, and their bliss becomes even closer and greater. Their connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom gets strong. They're already in Gan Eden, but their relationship to the Rebbeinu Shalom grows because of me. Which maybe, that's what I'm saying, to the other side of it, maybe you're allowing that person to choose to stay there. They don't need to come back. They don't want to. They don't. Baruch Hashem, they left. They left behind values and possibilities for the world that's going to continue to help them beyond their time living here. That's what I think. Anybody else? All right. Well, call it a night then. Have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos, everybody.
Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Pleasure. Good Shabbos. Good Shabbos, everybody.